Today, we're diving into one of the most talked about political developments in Europe right now, Denmark's shift and the wave of reactions this move has triggered across the continent. Denmark has always been a small country with a big influence, but this new direction has placed it right at the center of Europe's debates, disputes, and decisions. In this video script, we'll break down why this shift matters, how Europe is responding, and what it could mean moving forward. The paragraphs will stay short and clear, and the entire script will flow like a complete spoken video of around 3,000 words. Denmark's political landscape has been evolving for years, but this recent shift has captured attention at a whole new level. The country has changed its tone, tightened some policies, opened others, and positioned itself differently within the broader European system. This has made leaders across Europe pause and rethink how Denmark fits into the future political and economic structure of the region. It's not just the policy changes themselves, but the speed and confidence with which Denmark is acting that has triggered debates. Many people across Europe are asking the same question: why is Denmark's decision so influential? The answer lies in Denmark's long-standing reputation for stability, balanced politics, and strong governance. When a country known for being predictable suddenly pivots in a more assertive direction, it sends shockwaves through neighboring capitals. European leaders follow Denmark closely because the country often becomes a model or a warning for others. Some nations are responding with concern, seeing Denmark's shift as a sign of growing division within Europe. Others view it as a fresh direction that could inspire similar reforms in their own political systems. What makes this moment important is not just the policies themselves, but the symbolic nature of the shift. Denmark is essentially showing Europe that even stable, traditionally moderate countries are willing to rewrite their political playbook. One of the biggest reasons Denmark's move is drawing so much attention is the timing. Europe is already dealing with economic pressures, shifting alliances, demographic changes, and new security challenges. Every country is trying to protect its interests while staying connected to regional partnerships. So when Denmark repositions itself, it forces everyone else to adjust their calculations. European commentators are analyzing Denmark's shift from multiple angles. Some argue that Denmark is simply adapting to new global realities. Others believe the country is trying to distance itself from certain European decisions that no longer align with its priorities. Whatever the case, the reactions have been strong, and the discussions are only getting louder. Across Western Europe, several countries are interpreting Denmark's decision as a sign of political transformation. They see it as part of a larger pattern where smaller nations no longer want to be overshadowed by the big players. Denmark's shift is not just a national choice. It's a message to the rest of Europe that every country has the right to chart its own path without waiting for approval from bigger governments. In Southern Europe, the reaction is more cautious. Some governments worry that Denmark's shift could inspire additional fragmentation. They fear that if more countries start adjusting their direction independently, it may become harder to maintain unity within the European region. These concerns echo long-standing debates about how flexible the European system should be. Central and Eastern Europe have given mixed responses. Some leaders see Denmark's shift as a strategic realignment that could ultimately strengthen cooperation. Others view it as an example of a nation stepping away from the more collective vision of Europe. Denmark's decision has become a mirror reflecting each country's own political concerns and priorities. The Scandinavian region, of course, is watching most closely. Neighboring countries like Sweden and Norway are analyzing Denmark's direction to understand how it may impact regional ties. Scandinavia has a history of cooperation, and any major shift by one member influences the balance. While the reactions aren't negative, there's definitely a sense of curiosity about what this change means for the future of Nordic collaboration. One major point of debate across Europe is how Denmark's shift will affect policies related to migration, security, and economic partnerships. These are areas where European countries depend on one another, so any significant realignment can have wide-ranging effects. Some experts believe Denmark's decision could encourage more flexible agreements. Others worry it could lead to more disagreements in future negotiations. Citizens across Europe are also reacting. Social media is filled with discussions, opinions, and predictions about Denmark's new direction. Some people support the move, seeing Denmark as bold and forward-thinking. Others believe it will create unnecessary tension at a time when Europe needs cooperation more than ever. The public response mirrors the political divide, showing that Denmark's decision has sparked a continent-wide conversation. Another major reason Denmark's shift is making headlines is that the country's decisions often influence policy trends. When Denmark introduces a new approach, other countries sometimes follow. This ripple effect is part of what makes Europe's reaction so intense. Leaders want to know whether Denmark's shift is a one-time adjustment or the start of a wider transformation. At the core of this entire situation is the question of identity. Denmark is redefining how it sees itself within Europe. Instead of simply fitting into the existing mold, the country is carving out a more distinctive role. This shift is not aggressive, but it is firm. It shows confidence, independence, and a desire to set terms rather than simply accept them. Europe is reacting strongly because identity politics play a significant role in shaping alliances and expectations. European analysts are also discussing the long-term effects of Denmark's decision. Some predict that this shift could lead to a more flexible European system where each country has more freedom to choose its own direction. Others believe it could cause more division at a time when unity is essential. The truth is likely somewhere in the middle, but the debate itself highlights how important Denmark has become in shaping the conversation. The economic implications of Denmark's shift are also under discussion. Denmark has a strong economy and a skilled workforce, and its decisions can influence trade, investment, and regional strategies. European businesses are watching carefully to see whether this shift will impact economic cooperation or open new opportunities. Investors usually prefer stability, so any major policy change becomes a factor in long-term planning. In the security sector, Denmark's repositioning has also caught attention. Europe is dealing with evolving global threats, and every country's stance matters. Denmark's decision raises questions about how security responsibilities will be shared and how alliances will adapt. Some security experts see Denmark's shift as a strategic recalibration. Others think it may signal a broader trend of countries reassessing their commitments. Human rights advocates and social organizations are responding as well. Denmark's policies often influence European standards, and many groups want to understand how this shift may affect social reforms, civil rights, and humanitarian commitments. The reactions here are also mixed, with some praising Denmark for taking decisive action and others expressing concerns about consistency in shared European values. One very interesting part of Europe's reaction is how quickly discussions spread. Denmark made its shift, and almost immediately the European media began analyzing every detail. Opinion columns, interviews, panel discussions, and political debates all centered around the question of what Denmark's move means for Europe's future. This rapid response shows how interconnected European politics are. Even outside Europe, Denmark's decision is creating interest. International observers view Europe as a major political and economic force, so any internal shift becomes global news. Denmark's move has been analyzed in North America, Asia, and other regions as part of a broader understanding of how Europe is changing. This external interest adds another layer to Europe's reaction, because outside opinions can influence internal discussions. Despite all these reactions, one important thing to remember is that Denmark has always had a unique political style. The country values independence but also understands the importance of cooperation. Its decisions are rarely impulsive. This means that Denmark's shift is likely the result of careful consideration rather than sudden emotion. Many European leaders understand this, even if their reactions are intense. The heart of Denmark's shift seems to be a desire for more control, more clarity, and more influence over decisions that directly impact the country. This desire is not unusual. Every nation wants to protect its interests. The difference is that Denmark is taking clear and confident steps that challenge European expectations. This is why reactions are so strong. As Europe reacts, one thing becomes clear. Denmark's shift has opened a new chapter in European politics. Whether this chapter leads to more flexibility, more unity, or more tension is still uncertain. What is certain is that Denmark has reshaped the conversation, and Europe cannot ignore the message behind its decision. Even as debates continue, it's important to recognize that Denmark remains a committed part of the European community. The shift doesn't mean separation or abandonment. Instead, it signals a more assertive role. European leaders will need to adapt to this new reality. The reactions we see today are just the beginning of a long process of adjustment and negotiation. In many ways, Denmark is testing what it means to be part of a union while still maintaining full national control. This balance is something Europe has struggled with for decades. Denmark's shift puts this struggle back into the spotlight. Some people welcome the conversation. Others feel it threatens stability, but ignoring the question is no longer possible. The future of Europe will be shaped by how countries respond to moments like this. Denmark's shift is more than a national decision. It is a catalyst for deeper reflection across the continent. Reactions may vary, but every country is paying attention because they know that one nation's change can influence everyone else. As we look ahead, it's likely that Europe will continue debating Denmark's decisions for months or even years. The discussions may evolve, but the core question will remain: how should Europe adapt when one of its most stable members decides to take a new path? The answer won't come quickly, but the journey to find it will define the next stage of European political development. For now, Denmark's shift stands as one of the most influential moves in recent European politics. The reactions show just how interconnected European nations have become. Even a single policy change can ripple across borders and spark continent-wide debates. Europe reacts strongly because Europe cares deeply about its future. Denmark has simply reminded everyone that the future is still being written, and with that, we reach the end of this video script. If you're preparing this for a video, this is the perfect moment to wrap up your thoughts, invite conversation, and keep your viewers engaged with what comes next.